Hi everybody. Today we're going to determine the slope of a line given 2 points. So any two ordered pairs, you can find the slope just given 2 points without even having to make a graph. Slope is also known as the rise of a run, or the change in y over the change in x. So you might see the delta sign like this, change in y over change in x. It just means you take the two y values and subtract them. In the same order, you find the x values and subtract them. So if you want to start labeling them as x1, y1, and x2, y2, you could do so. Or what I like to do is I just circle my y's and I start with those. I always start with my y's so I don't get it confused. And whatever one I start with, I also start with that other pair in the bottom. So I'm going to do this one first, or this one first. It doesn't matter as long as you stay in order. So let's start with the one on the right. So 2 minus 2 over your x values. So you go with the one you started with. I started with this pair over here. So I'm going to start with the 10 minus the x value on the other side, the 3. So I get 2 minus 2 is 0. And 10 minus 3, 10, 9, 8, 7. 0 over any number is equal to 0. So my slope in this case is 0. If I were to graph these 2 points, I should have a horizontal line because the slope is 0. Let's try it again. Here's another set of points. You just want to start with your y values, and you could either do 0 minus 7 or 7 minus 0. In this case, I think it's easier to do 7 minus 0, so I'm going to start on this ordered pair. 7 minus 0 is my y values, and now I have to start with my x values. I have to start with the same number in the same order. So negative 1 has to come first because negative 1 and 7 are ordered pairs. Then I need to subtract the other x value of 3. It may help you to change your subtraction into adding the opposite when you're doing integers. 7 minus nothing is very easy for me. That's 7 minus 0 is 7. And you're also able to use a calculator here if you get stuck. Negative 1 plus negative 3 is the same thing as saying negative 1 minus 3. So this is the answer of negative 4. I cannot reduce this, so I'm going to leave my slope as a negative 7/4. The negative can either go next to the 7 or next to the 4 or out in front like I have it here. If I were to graph this, it would go down from left to right, 7 over 4. Here's another one. I just want to take my y values and ask myself, would I rather do 9 minus a negative 5 or negative 5 minus 9? It doesn't matter which one you start with as long as you stay consistent. I'm going to start with the right one. So I'm doing 9 minus negative 5. And notice how I put parentheses around there so I don't just write one minus sign. And then I have to start with the same set. So 2 minus the other x value is a 1. So in this case, I'm going to add the opposite. So I get 9 plus 5. I get 14. And 2 minus 1 is 1. I can reduce this to get a positive slope of 14. It's a whole number. Slopes can be written as whole numbers or fractions. So my slope is 14. If I were to graph this, I'd have to go over 14 and down 1. Rise of a run. So up or down 14 and over 1. Here's another ordered pair, change in y over change in x. You always want to make sure you start with the y values. So in this case, 3 minus 0 or 0 minus 3. I'm going to start with 3 minus 0 because it's easier. And then do 7 minus 1. 3 minus 0 gets me 3. 7 minus 1 gets me 6. This is not done yet because I can reduce 3/6. 3/6 are both divisible by 3. So I divide both by 3 and I get the answer of 1. 6 by 3 is 2. My slope is 1/2. So if I were to graph this, it would go up from left to right, up 1 over 2 to get to each point. Next example, I'd always start with my y values. So I have a 1 and a 9. You can either do 1 minus 9 or 9 minus 1. I'm going to start over here and do 9 minus 1 over. Have to always make sure your ordered pairs together. So the 9 and 2 always have to be lined up. 2 minus, and in this case, a negative 5. When you subtract the negatives, it's the same as adding the opposite. 9 minus 1 is 8. And 2 plus 5 is 7. So my slope is a positive 8/7. I cannot write this as a mixed number, so I leave it as an improper fraction. It is reduced as far as I can. Slope is 8/7. Positive. It goes up from left to right. Next example, you have your y values, 16 and 8. So I'm going to start with 16 and subtract 8 over 9 minus 20. So when you do 16 subtract 8, you get 8, and 9 minus 20, same sign, keep and add, different sign, subtract. You get negative 11, and you can't reduce that anymore, so your slope is negative 8/11. And the negative sign can go next to the 8 or to the 11, or out in front like I have it. Please make sure you ask if any questions. Thanks for being here. Ciao.